Hey guys, this is Mark, aka Shadows, from J-Roll Gaming, and I'm here to show you my Gear Chronicle deck profile. Now this isn't really anywhere near what I would have as a finished Gear Chronicle deck, but it's just an idea that I've had to fix some of the problems I've seen with the deck. I really like this deck, but I've usually been having like some consistency issues. As far as like being able to get stuff off early game and like getting in like more pressure with the deck. So this is just a suggestion for the deck. This is probably not going to be anywhere near my final build, but it's what I got. So I guess we'll get started first with the grade 3s in the deck. On my nice mat. I'm also testing out this camera setup that I have right now. It's actually my HD camera phone. It should be better than my actual camera setup. So first we got your Chrono Jet Dragon. So we play 4 Chrono Jet Dragons. Obviously, that goes without saying. Generation Break 2 skill, plus 5k. Can't guard with grade 1s or greater from hand. On stride skill, counter blast 1, bottom deck something. 1 Uru, or whatever the hell her name is. I believe it's Uru. I like saying it Uru. And 3 Fate Wheel Dragon. I was playing Legion in this at the time when I was testing it, but I kind of found that the Legion sometimes really didn't give me much except putting back triggers, which did help in some cases, but sometimes when I was going up against certain clans that have like a starter that I want to get rid of, this was usually just like an easier answer for me. So I would just, you know, play this, counter blast 1, soul blast 1, bottom deck something. It was always a really good play for me, but I got other cards now also to solve for that. But yeah, so that's the grade 3s. On to the grade 2s. Which stack is it? Yeah, it's this stack. Okay. So for grade 2s, first of all, the most shocking thing ever, these pieces of crap. 2 Relic Master Dragon. Now, I'm playing the 2 Relic Master Dragon for the sake of being able to bottom deck something early game if I get rushed. Because as far as this deck's concerned right now, it has no answer to rush. So if you take a beating, might as well take a beating and then bottom deck them for it. I know it's 2 counterblasts and it's like not that appealing, but it can like work out as like a combo play, or you can just use it if you need to get a later bottom deck in the game. It's a free counterblast and bottom deck. You don't really have to do much for it, and it's a one-off, so it's like you don't really care if you lose it or not too bad. So it's a good unit to have or ride on. Then we have 2 Glimmer Dragons. So keeping up with the style of the deck, I would like to keep bottom decking my opponent, and bottom decking is good for the sake that it minuses them. So I played 2 Glimmer Breaths. The 11k boost that it gets is always good, but I wish it was more like Knight of Fragment. But there's no helping that. So counter blast 1, bottom deck something. Well, counter blast 1, soul blast 1. If I'm on a Chrono Jet Vanguard at Generation Break 1, I get to bottom deck something and gains plus 2k. So, and also that's what's good about this. You don't have to be on a Chrono Jet Vanguard all the time to use this. But with this you do. Which then helps you set out with more bottom decking. Which is why I play 2 Steam Fighter Amber. So everybody knows about Amber, so self-explanatory, no need to do anything. I want a bottom deck and I want to keep doing it. Might as well keep doing it while it's fresh. Because I feel like Gear Chronicle kind of has an identity crisis, and this is the best way of solving it. Next surprising choice, 2 Mechanized Gear Tiger. Now I was like really digging deep when picking out like grade 2s for this deck. It was really hard because there wasn't really much to work with. I mean, as far as you know, more offensive grade 2s, this is pretty good because when you're striding, especially with the new support that's coming out with Chrono Dragon, if you stride and you if you're going in and you want to deal damage, but you want to have pressure on your rear guard, this is one of those cards that gets in for you, because for Soul Blast 1, it gains plus 5k when you stride. So it's a pretty good skill. I don't know if you could see that, or I was focusing on that. I don't know. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, and it's a pretty solid body. It gets work done, I guess, if you're not really craving for soul. This is really going to come in useful for when the new version of Meshuhi comes out, because that one is just countercharge when you bottom deck on a Chrono Jet Vanguard, And so you get basically just free soul for days for no good reason. Especially if you're playing like all the draw triggers and such. And then the last 3 cards are 3 Steam Fighter Ishin. Enough said to not be playing this card. You have to be playing this card. It's really good. For the sake that if you're bottom decking stuff with Amber, if you're bottom decking stuff with Glimmer Breath, if you're bottom decking stuff with Relic Master, if you're bottom decking stuff with your Chrono Jet, regardless of what you're bottom decking with. Let me focus the camera again. Yeah. So regardless of what you're bottom decking with, this skill goes off. And it's more consistent with this. So basically what it is on the turn that you would bottom deck something while this card's on the field, you can counterblast 1. If you do, it gains a taunt skill. So, enough said. It's a taunt skill. And its secondary ability is that it has resist. So, resist units are good nowadays, especially if you don't want your rear guards to just be sniped out by, like, you know, Kagero or Shadow Paladin or something. It's a good rear guard call. It's usually safe. And it's good to play at 3, so in case someone attacks it, you could always just play another one. But you usually want to defend for it because it's good to have on field, so that way you could get off the stride play. And it's really good if you're going to play Chrono Dragon. So that's it for the grade 2s. So now we'll get on to the grade 1s. So, like any good stride deck, we'll play 4 stride material. Enough said. You just pitch the stride, gets Chrono Dragon to your hand also. So that's always good. Anyway, I play 3 copies of Steam Fighter Diz. I'm just gonna call him Diz because it's like Diz Kyle, but I like Diz more. So he's your 7 to 9k beater. So this game, like I said, has a problem with early game rush, but it wouldn't be bad if you could do your own early game rush. So being able to just put this guy on rear guard, swing for 9k to your opponent's Vanguard, especially if they're not 10k base, this guy has a lot of value on 2 turns when your opponent's riding. So usually I like to go second, like any good stride player would want to kind of go second. So you get to ride, you get to call this, you get to attack for their 7k, the next turn you get to attack again their 9k, so it's always a good plus to be able to attack more than 1 card. It only does that with Vanguard though. Then we play 3 copies of Steam Fighter Meshuhi. So his skill is once per turn when he's on the field. You can, when a card is sent to the bottom of your opponent's deck due to an effect of one of your cards, you can then Soul Blast 1 and Countercharge 1. So, pretty good. But the new version of him is better because when you bottom deck something when you're on a Chrono Jet Vanguard, you just Countercharge 1. You get to keep your soul. So, that is also once per turn. But, so, these guys will come out for that, for when the set comes out. And then, like anybody else, 4 perfect guards. 4 unflipping perfect guards. Because they're unflipping perfect guards and this deck needs a hell of a lot of counterblasts. Gotta get it from somewhere. And then our starter is gonna be your Draco Kid. I mean, you could go with the grade 3 searcher. It's good. I prefer not to, but when it comes down to plays and such, anyway, always busy around here. We're at my house. Yeah, so you can bottom deck. This lets you put into Soul, Counterblast 1, search your deck for a grade 3 when you're on Generation Break 1. I usually have more than 1 grade 3 in my hand or stride material by the time I make it to grade 3. So I really don't need the grade 3 searcher. And this guy's a 5k base, and he secures me another grade 3 in case I'm not confident that I'll get one on my drive check. And he filters 1. And he gives 1 plus soul, so, I mean, what's there to not like? In this, we play an interesting trigger lineup, which I had to sort out because I didn't sort out. So, I'll sort it out while I'm getting 4 heals. 4 heals. 4 heals are 4 heals. So we play 4 heal. We play 4 stand, like bad players. I'm just playing. These are actually not too bad. Because you don't really use them for the skill, but you use them more for the sake of, like, if you're going to go with the Chrono Jet Dragon for nowadays, having stuff like this, or like, you know, like this Gear Tiger if you want to go for an early attack, like on another rear guard, and he's rested, you basically get another play. Like, you could also get another play off Diz. So, let's say you're on your first attack, you attack your opponent's Vanguard with this for 9, they guard, you attack their Vanguard, they no guard, you hit a stand trigger, you get this guy back and you get to go to 9 again. Good value. So, that's why I like it. I felt like this deck needed more aggro, outside of sometimes crit pressure, because you do have strides that give your own crit pressure, so 4 stands. Next we play 4 Heart Thump Workers, because we like to put more stuff in our soul, and we get to draw a card for it. So you put this in your soul, when you attack, if you have a Chrono Jet Vanguard, it gets plus 5k, and you draw a card. So, pretty good trigger. I wish it goes back in the deck, it would have been better if it did that. That would have been one hell of a good trigger. And then we just play 4 more crit. I could go with the other crit, but I prefer playing this one because I like the way it looks. So that's the trigger lineup, and now everyone wants the strides. So like any good player, we play 4 Ragnar Clock Dragon. 4 Ragnar Clock Dragon is a happy dragon. Self-explanatory, he's a Silent Tom with a crit, and he's counterblast 1 for it when you attack. 2 Fate Rider Dragon, because field is important to us. You want field, sometimes you want to swap the crap in your hand for something better. If you need a grade 1, throw back a trigger. So, good. 1 Lost Age Dragon, because on-hit pressure is good pressure. And I played 3 Fate Riders, and I would usually first ride Fate Rider, but I found that sometimes I didn't need the card as much as I wanted to put my opponent to have the pressure to bottom deck another card, if I happen to not have another grade 2 or something, to be able to bottom deck. Or I just wanted to threaten them and make it so it's like, oh, if you put an Amber, let's say you put like an Amber on rear guard, just like chilling there, and you put a booster behind him, and then you attack with this first, they're more inclined to let it hit, because they're like, well, he's going to bottom deck anyway, so why am I going to guard for it if I'm going to lose the card anyway, so they no guard it. And then you could just rip a crit or something, and then, you know, you get power and crit to like, and you get more bonuses off of that. So on-hit pressure is good pressure, it's always there. And then 1 Interdimensional Beast, Upheaval Pegasus, because when someone puts down a good field, I say fuck that. I don't want them to have a good field. So, that's pretty much it for this. I'm not going to really go over any plays or anything, as I have not really, I've only play tested this like a couple of times. It worked, playing against my Cannon Stride with his blouse. It went really well when I was playing against that. Maybe I'll bring you guys a video on that. But it worked out pretty well, so I'm probably going to do more play testing, maybe put 12 crit instead. This deck, honestly, like, even if you have draw triggers, it doesn't last, like, long enough to be able to, like, fight either way, even if it has the draw triggers. So usually you end up having to, you know, make do with what you got. So that's it for this one, you guys. Tell me what you think about the deck, if I'm on the right track of idea, or maybe draw triggers are still the greatest thing in the world. Either way, this is Shadow signing off. Remember, crits are good, stands sometimes are better, and I will catch you on the next one, guys.